Okay guys, so I'm gonna be coming at you with a little different video than what I would typically make. Now, Nick Bear recently posted his blood work, presumably I think like 3 weeks out from his bodybuilding show. So he's never done a bodybuilding show. Basically, he was gonna do a bodybuilding show just to test himself, see if he could do it. And that's a lot of stuff he does, you know. I'm a big Nick Bear fan. I've been following him for the last couple of years, and what kind of differentiates him from everybody else is he's 195, 200 pounds, which is fairly big in endurance circles. And he's done ridiculous stuff. Like he's done the Leadville 100, which is a 100-mile race through the mountains of Colorado. He did it in about 27 and a half hours, which is just insane. That's insane to do that at 200 pounds. And he's like one of the few runners with a bunch of muscle. His physique is insane. He's heavier, tons of muscle, ripped. He's done triathlons, Ironman triathlons. He's done a marathon in 2 hours, 50 minutes, just under 2 hours, 50 minutes, which is like a 6:25 pace. Just absurd to be able to carry that for 26 miles. He's done all sorts of crazy stuff. He owns BPN supplements. I've been a fan, honestly. But I also understand where all the questions come in as far as, is he really natural? Because I know Greg Doucette's made a video. He's made a few videos about this. That there's no way he could be natural looking like that, doing what he does, that sort of thing. And I know there's a lot of questions out there. So basically he's got this bodybuilding show coming up. He's looking freaky, lean as can be. I'll put some pictures up here on his Instagram. We'll take a look at them. I mean, just 3D delts, ripped to the bone, looks vascular all over, just has a crazy look where you think, okay, maybe he's not natural. Like, it'd be hard to say. But I will say that it's somewhat deceptive, guys. Like when you look at pictures online, you don't actually get a feel for the size of the person in real life. If you were to see him probably in a t-shirt, he wouldn't look huge at all. He'd look like he probably works out, but he wouldn't look massive. So a lot of these pictures, when you see guys shirtless and stuff online, they look massive, but they're really not. It's just that look when you're super lean and all that. But anyway, long story short, he posted some blood work, and it's not extensive blood work at all. It was literally 5 biomarkers he posted. I'm sure he got CBC checked, CMP. He probably got much more extensive blood work than that, which it would be awesome to see. But he's saying basically he's posting these because these are the main things you're going to look at to infer someone's natural status. So this was about, let's see here. He posted these 2 days ago, okay? Along with some pictures. And I don't know what his weight's sitting at, but I'm assuming he's probably 180, 85 pounds, which would be possible naturally. But he posted his total testosterone levels on the LCMS scale, which is much more accurate than the standard scale. And the cool thing about the LCMS scale is if you have a testosterone level that goes over 1,500 nanograms per deciliter because you're on TRT or you're on anabolic steroids and you're juicing with a gram of test or whatever, you can see your level, actually how high it is. The highest I ever recorded myself was a 3,200 nanogram per deciliter total test level when I was on 750 milligrams of testosterone. Now I've taken much higher doses than that, and it would have been interesting to see then if I had gotten to 5,000 or whatever. But this scale will show that if you get the standard testosterone level checked with the ECLA scale, I believe, it will only go up to 1,500 and then it won't go any higher. So you can't get a good feel. So if any of you guys take anything, that's a cool way to see. But total testosterone level, Nick's was 109 nanograms per deciliter, which is extremely low. And his free testosterone level was even more staggeringly low, 1.08 nanograms per deciliter, which is absurd. So that's very low. I don't know if I've ever seen a free test that low. But those are extremely low numbers. And what he was basically saying is, hey guys, I'm natural. Look at how low my test is. I'm 3 weeks out from the bodybuilding show and I have completely tanked test levels. That was the point of this. He also posted his luteinizing hormone, which luteinizing hormone is a precursor to testosterone production. It's the signaling for testosterone production in the body. His level was 1.5, which is also very, very low. Typically in a normal natural person, we're going to see a level between 4 and 8. I've seen somewhat higher, but 4 to 8 is going to be that typical range. He also posted FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, which is the precursor to sperm production. Fertility in the body, 1.9. Again, very low number here. Typically, we're going to see 4, upwards of 9, and that'll be a typical range in your everyday person walking around. He had one more biomarker he posted, which is SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, and that was 67, which is extremely high as well. So this one's actually extremely high, those were extremely low. But as you guys know, if SHBG is super high, your free testosterone will be quite low. So one way to raise your free testosterone is to lower your SHBG. You can do that through boron, 6 to 10 milligrams a day. There are even Borotab supplement out there that's 30 milligrams a day. If you really want to try to get your SHBG low, of course you don't want to get it too low, but if you got it down to 15, 20, that would be useful in raising free test. The thing is, you don't want to tank any hormone. When you tank hormones, even like estradiol, you're going to feel like trash. It's going to affect your performance. It's going to affect how you feel. So there's extremes. You don't want to have anything too high, but you don't want to have anything too low. That's where you want that SHBG to fall within a good range. I'd say 15 would be ideal, 20 maybe, but not necessarily too high or too low. But anyway, those are the 5 biomarkers he posted. I'll show them here. And this is all to prove his natural status, which, as a fan of Nick, I'd like to believe it. It's hard to say with his physique and these things. Now, the only true way to know would be to have baseline blood work from before or after. His hormone, if you're a natural bodybuilder, truthfully, and you are dieting extremely hard like Nick is, where you're having 1,800 calories a day, that's what he has stated in videos, and he stated he's still running about 40 miles a week, I believe. So for Nick, 40 miles is not that much per week, whereas typically I think he'd be upwards of 70 miles a week. But he's doing a tremendous amount of cardio, and he's in this extreme caloric restriction phase. So as a natural bodybuilder, I did a natural bodybuilding show when I was 19. He's not doing a natural bodybuilding show, he's doing NPC, but he's inferring he's natural here. You're going to have your hormones tanked no matter what. Now, it'd be interesting to see thyroid. I'm sure his thyroid would be awful too. TSH would probably be very high, because with a high thyroid stimulating hormone, it means your thyroid is not actually functioning well. You want that one lower, around the 1 to 1.5 range. So it'd be interesting to see that in some of these other biomarkers. But if you are in this extreme dieting phase, doing a bunch of cardio, losing a bunch of weight, very low body fat levels, suboptimal, your hormones are going to be tanked. So that's kind of what he's saying. Now, it's tough to say, though, if this proves someone being natural, because it really wouldn't, because that's going to happen no matter what. Now, if he was on testosterone at the time of this test, then likely his hormones would look much better. His test levels would be obviously still stabilized. He would have a normal testosterone level if he was on a TRT dose, or if he was taking higher amounts of testosterone, say 500 milligrams, you'd see his total testosterone level upwards of 2,000 maybe to 2,500. You'd see his free testosterone of 50 plus in all likelihood. So he's saying, I'm not taking testosterone right now, guys. This doesn't necessarily show other compounds, because they wouldn't show up as testosterone on a blood panel. If you were taking even Tren or Anavar or something, that's not going to show up in the form of total testosterone and free testosterone, because they don't work exactly like that on the body. So those are going to show up in a different way. They might skew your lipids. Your lipids might be completely out of whack, to where if you took other anabolic steroids, your HDL would tank low and your LDL would go up to some degree. That's where we'd see other things skewed. You could see it in the form of red blood cell count. If red blood cell count was elevated and such, it could be an indication. So we'd have to see the other parts of the hormone panel to get an accurate picture of whether or not he's on anything. But this just is saying at this point in time, he was definitely not on testosterone. You could also make the argument where people will say, well, he might have just come off testosterone. And I think this is interesting to look at my results from when I was 2 and 3 months off testosterone and compare the total testosterone. Unfortunately, I didn't get free testosterone checked, as well as the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Now, I've been off testosterone for 2.5 years after running anabolic steroids and testosterone for 9 years, exogenous testosterone. So comparing my results to his, he had the 109 total testosterone level. Now mine was, let's look at the 2 months off testosterone and anabolic steroids. I was at a 38 testosterone level. So I was significantly lower than him with a FSH of 2.6 and an LH of 1.2. So it's interesting that my test levels were much lower at that point, but my FSH and LH were both higher. And then if you look at the 3-month point, when I was off testosterone, my total testosterone, let me find it here, was 168, so much more in line with what we see Nick's. But my FSH was 4.4 and my LH was 3.0. So you'd think if he had been at that 3-month off testosterone point when he got these results, his LH and FSH would probably be higher. Now there could be other factors at play, but as far as that looks, it's looking like at this point in time, you know, he could have been off for, you know, a month or two maybe, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say without having baseline levels from before or after. So I really don't think, what I'm getting at, I don't think we can make an accurate portrayal or assessment of if he is truly natural based on this limited information of these 5 biomarkers and not having results from previous times, not having results from 6 months ago or when he was in his bulking phase in December. Maybe if he got his levels checked again, I'd say 12 to 15 weeks from now, when his hormones have had a chance to stabilize after the show, he's put weight back on, he's put some body fat back on, he's been eating more, then we'd have a much more accurate picture. So it's almost like you can't go off one blood panel to determine the natural status here, especially with the limited biomarkers. We'd have to have something from previously or from down the line to get a more accurate picture. So there's just not a good conclusion to this where you can say one way or another, this person is natural or this person is not. I've looked at people who are completely natural with test levels of in the 900s. So, you know, you can have very high test levels. I've seen people with crazy vascularity who are very lean, who would look in pictures like they might not necessarily be natural. But then if you saw them in person, they're actually quite small in a t-shirt. So that's where the online, the pictures can look inaccurate. But I really don't think one way or another we can make a super accurate assessment here. We would need more extensive panels from the previous months, years, compared to have a baseline, or down the line from now, 3 months, 4 months from now, when things have rebounded a bit, we could get a better idea. But if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. I'm going to keep the videos coming. Thank you.